Are you looking for a recipe that is like the box macaroni and cheese, but 10 times better? Or like those frozen macaroni and cheeses that you always buy, but creamier and even more delicious? Yes? You're like, no, I'm just gonna use the frozen. No, you're not. You're not gonna use it anymore because you're gonna start making this recipe, which is in our March issue of Martha Stewart Living. It's maybe our best yet stovetop mac and cheese. And it uses a combination of 3 cheeses. American cheese for that creamy sort of classic texture that you get from those other kinds. Cheddar cheese for depth of flavor, and Parmesan for an accent of like real sharpness. So I just grated 4 ounces of American cheese. I already have 2 cups of grated cheddar and a cup of grated parm. And my pasta has been cooking. It's a pound of pasta. What you want to do is cook it just slightly al dente, about 2 minutes less than the package says. Just before you drain your pasta, which is a pound of cavatappi or other short pasta like elbow, works really well. Reserve about 1 cup of the pasta water for making your sauce. And then you can drain. I'm gonna go ahead and cook my sauce right in this pot, so I'll set the pasta aside for a sec. You could do this separately, you could be doing it at the same time, but in an effort to not wash so many dishes, we're doing it in the same pot. So into your same pot, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. This is the base for your bechamel, so you're gonna melt the butter and add a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. That was only 3 tablespoons of butter and a 1/4 cup of flour, which seems, it's like a slightly different ratio than normal bechamel, slightly heavier on the thickener, but that accommodates for like any additional moisture that's added when the pasta gets added in there and all that stuff. Science, I know, so boring. So cook off your flour a little bit. Now I'm having a little bit of a hard time getting it completely coated with the butter in the pan, so just make sure that you stir it around a lot and get all of the fat and the flour combined. And then cook it for like 30 seconds just to cook off the raw flour smell / flavor. And then you can add 2 teaspoons of dry mustard powder. If you don't have dry mustard powder on hand, which you might not, you can use regular mustard, but you're going to get a little bit more of a bite from that, like a vinegar bite, not a spice bite. But that's kind of nice sometimes, so use what you have on hand. I'm going to switch to a whisk because I want to whisk my milk in, and I have slightly warmed milk to whisk into my warm roux. So just keep stirring. I like to start off gradually, and I say this a lot. It's a lot easier not to create lumps when you gradually whisk your milk mixture into your flour mixture until it starts getting kind of loose. It gets looser before it gets thicker again. It's a little annoying, but it's totally worth it. Because sometimes if you do it too quickly, you end up with lumps, and then you have to strain your bechamel through a sieve. And I really don't like cleaning that sieve. All right. I had that on about a medium heat. Now I'm going to turn it up to probably a medium high, because what I want to happen is for the milk to come back to a boil, and that will happen more quickly also if your milk is warm. The boiling is what activates the starch completely, so you want to make sure that that happens because you don't want uncooked flour flavor in your bechamel, and you also want to give it the opportunity to really do its job of thickening the milk. I would say turn it maybe down to medium when it comes to a boil, and then you just want to cook it until it coats the back of a spoon. Basically, once it comes to a boil, the flour is activated, it's thickened, and then you stir in your cheese. At this point, turn the heat down to low. If you start with the American cheese, that starts smoothing out the sauce. Then you add the cheddar cheese. 2 cups of grated cheddar. Give that a stir. Now, we're using yellow American and yellow cheddar because it's got a fun color and it reminds everybody of the stuff they ate growing up. But you can skip the color. There's white versions of both of those if you prefer not to have that orangey color. And then 1 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. I think that the Parmesan cheese adds a little sophistication that is missing from the original box, and I like it a lot, but I suppose you could skip it and replace it with either more American or more cheddar if you want something a little milder. Once your cheese has completely melted into a delicious, I just want to dip bread into that consistency, then you can return your pasta to the pot and stir that in. Cavatappi, I think, might be my favorite shape. I don't know why. It seems silly, but I always buy it at home. Stir, stir, stir. Now, at this point, you could add a little bit of pasta water if it feels like it's a little thicker. You want to thin it out a little more. I actually think it's okay. However, what I would do is if I was making this ahead of time, I would save my pasta water, and if I wanted to reheat it on top of the stove, I'd add just a little bit of the pasta water at that point because it will help loosen it. But to me right now, I don't think I need, well, maybe a teeny tiny bit, just like a drop. Add that in, and then you've got like the creamiest, most amazing stovetop mac and cheese ever, seasoned with salt and pepper. I probably should have done that before I added the pasta. You don't need too much salt. There's a lot of salty cheese in there, so just a little bit. Give it a stir. Then you can eat it. This makes a lot, and you're going to be happy it makes a lot because you're going to want to eat a lot. We have a baked variation in the magazine that's really good with broiled tomatoes and breadcrumbs, and we have a sort of more sophisticated grown-up version that we based on fondue flavor that you should definitely try because it's super duper delicious, but I don't know, maybe nothing compares to this classic one. It's stupidly good, you guys, and so easy. You're definitely gonna say no to the box after this.